So your last lecture is always incomplete without an inspirational message from a current graduating student. Think of who it is.
Cheers. Your 2013 student speaker has demonstrated leadership at the University of Guelph-Humber community through in his involvement in Emerge magazine, the Rabbits newspaper, Goo Media, the Guelph-Humber newscast, and his peer mentoring at Humber College.
Wow, Laura, that was long. I'm glad you took those breathers.
Yeah, like this guy's done so much in his time here.
Not only has he done a lot on campus and become a familiar face, he's also become a great leader. At this point in time, we'd like to introduce you to your student speaker, George Pereira.
Before I get into my speech, I want to make a couple of observations about the night we've had so far. First of all, media studies right in the back corner, that's where we always sit. Give it up for media studies. I love the rest of you too though. Especially psychology, because you brought back Harlem Shake, and I was really sad to see that go a week ago. So that's really great, thanks. Also, George, you understand the importance of having large eyebrows. They will get you far in life. Alright, is there like a way to speak into this thing? I'm not good with microphones. Okay, so before I get started, I'd like to first thank Student Life and Alumni Services for organizing this special night in which we reflect on our academic career and look forward to graduation. I also extend my thanks to speakers, faculty, and administration for being in attendance tonight. And I'd also like to thank my parents for being here tonight, Mom and Dad. One thing about them, they're a pair of old Portuguese folk who for the next 10 minutes will have no idea what I'm saying. Although I'm sure they'll tell me how proud they are in the car ride home. And of course, thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. My name is George Pereira. This is a clicker that I've never seen before, and it works. My name is George Pereira, a journalism student, and like all of you, a soon-to-be alma mater. Does anybody? Anyways, at the University of Guelph-Humber. That's my name. I also enjoy long walks on the beach. My decision to study journalism came from a love of storytelling and an appetite for the truth. And I think I owe that to my first name. Perhaps not so coincidentally, I share my first name with a character from a popular series of children's novels that you might recognize. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Do you recognize that guy? Some might describe this as a sign, or a calling, maybe even destiny. Many of us in this room might recall an instance in which we decided the rest of our lives in a heartbeat. For a week we were committed to being astronauts. The next week we were dead set on being doctors. Also, I like to dramatically pause, so if you think I'm done and you start clapping, I'll cue you, don't worry. But one day, one of those decisions stuck. We experienced that moment where the choice was made, it was final, and we started down our new path in life. Tonight, our paths have all crossed, and we're gathered here to sit down. We've earned a break. We've spent the past several years staring at computer screens without necessarily typing anything, absorbing textbooks at a weekly rate, and quizzing each other for hours the night before a final exam. Our various programs may have each had their own classes and set of expectations, but no one can say that the walk to last lecture was an easy one. So sit down, relax, let's talk. Tonight's theme is Celebrate Success, and my God, we've heard that word a lot tonight. As if to suggest it's something an undergraduate is familiar with. After all, what do we know about success? We're aware of the fact that it's something we're supposed to work towards. We should want to be successful. What if I told you that success is all you've ever known? Take a look back. In elementary school, we may have struggled with multiplication. Life was easy in the days of addition and subtraction. Sometimes we called that takeaway. When along came this new symbol which had previously just characterized itself as the letter X, calling itself multiplication, a much longer word than X. Not about to be defeated, we worked at our times tables, counted on all our fingers and sometimes our toes, and ultimately, we figured it out. It's a bit nice. High school was a more complex saga. Expectations were raised, research was done outside of the classroom, and we didn't share all of our classes with our friends. The portions on the proverbial silver platter were smaller. We had to work harder because the prospect of failure was suddenly quite real. Where am I on this paper? That was a really dramatic one. Oh, and making matters worse was this great thing called puberty, which just seemed to complicate everything. Hair and anyways. Eventually, we enrolled in the University of Guelph-Humber, a place we chose to quench our thirst for higher learning. I keep losing myself on this page. Higher learning and guide our transition into adulthood. These 4 years were spent learning both inside and outside of the classroom. We sat in lectures that were advertised as 2.5 hours and sometimes felt like 2.5 years. We bought dozens of textbooks and sincerely tried to keep up with the readings. The coursework was laid out on the first day of class, taunting us to get started right away, and somehow we found ourselves struggling to achieve the required number of words the night before at 3 in the morning, some 2 months after this blasted essay was first announced. Now, perhaps the stories I'm telling don't precisely describe your university experience, but I wouldn't believe you for a second if you told me that the walk to last lecture was a walk in the park. And yet, here we all are. We succeeded. We beat multiplication, we beat puberty, we beat both MLA and APA citation formats. We read textbooks longer than Homer's Odyssey. Heck, some of us even read the Odyssey. We lost too many hours of sleep to essays, readings, and especially to those monotonous in-between assignments that were time swallowers as much as they were learning exercises. We searched for internships and co-op placements in every newspaper and Twitter feed we could find, and we aced exams on Saturdays at 8 in the morning. Being here tonight is indicative of the success that you've experienced your entire life thus far. You may have met failure, but you've never surrendered to it. And after all your hard work, you've earned the praise of the people who've spoken tonight, and personally, I think you've done a damn fine job. So what's next? Our story so far is defined by our success, but how do we keep that momentum moving forward? Is it still on Curious George? I meant to change that. Well, this is the one I want. So what's next? Our story so far is defined by our success, but how do we keep that momentum moving forward? I've been speaking to you about the celebratory aspect of graduation, but there's a part of you that perhaps feel uncertain. You're sitting there in your chair, and you're asking yourself, what do I do now? Maybe. Every stage in our lives so far has been marked by an increase in difficulty. Back when addition became subtraction. When a one-page short story became a 5-paragraph essay, and then 5 pages, and then a 20-page thesis. Life has consistently been getting harder, and we've adapted every time to meet these challenges head-on. What makes this transition any more difficult than the ones that have come before it? Listen to me carefully. You will figure it out. Now, there are many promises I wish I could make you tonight. I wish I could promise a 6- or 7-figure income, a lifelong career with a wonderful pension waiting at the end, and a nice home that never has its basement flood during a bad rainstorm. The only promise I can make is that graduation will not be the last curveball that life throws at you. Sooner or later, you'll hit another obstacle that has to be dealt with somehow. And whenever I find myself facing a challenge that I can't quite deal with, I reflect on a particular quote. Walls protect and walls limit. It is in the nature of walls that they should fall. That quote comes to us from Jeanette Winterson, an author that I encountered when taking an elective at the school called Betrayal in Contemporary Fiction. Winterson is referring to our most terrifying personal ambitions. We might not decide to climb a metaphorical wall. That maybe it's not so bad to just sit next to it, lean on it, build 3 more walls and make a home out of it. It's kind of cozy in the shadow of our most significant aspirations. But that's not in the nature of anyone in this room, no. No, we've climbed over every single wall that we've faced so far, so I have to ask, what in the world is supposed to stop us now? Who is anyone to say that you can't get your 6 or 7 figure income, your dream job, and your dream house? Giving into the hardships of life was never your style. You will continue to succeed because it's all you've ever done, it's all you know how to do, and it's all you're capable of. So, remember that when you leave this room and begin the next chapter of your lives. Congratulations, class of 2013. I look forward to hearing about how awesome your lives are at the 25-year reunion.
George is about to take someone to church. Everybody's like, amen, amen. He's about to raise up himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the definition of success.
George, you're welcome.